questions to ask throughout our campaign, with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along, still the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South, they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, welcome back to TACT, the show where we talk about all the tactics for the upcoming game against Luton Town at home. As always, I'm joined here with my good friend, Mr. Statman Dan. How's it going?
Yep, I'm all good. I'm looking forward to this game. As we'll see, I think we should really be getting points out of this game. I'm just excited to continue seeing Oliver Glasner's mini revolution at Palace. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Glasner play in another team. I wouldn't say of similar quality than Burnley, because I do believe that Luton are miles better than Burnley, but someone in and around us. So seeing sort of like within 2 games, Glasner's played bottom of the league and then almost top of the league. So it's nice to see how Glasner would set up with someone that can challenge us, let's say.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think going away at Spurs, I know we were optimistic before the game, but realistically getting anything out of that game, even if we didn't concede that first goal like we did, I still think we probably would have given up a goal. And so they're a very difficult team to play.
Yeah. And also, I feel like this is a big game as well, because after this, we've got 3 weeks off.
Oh yeah, we do, don't we? Oh yeah, because I forgot the Newcastle game's getting.
Yeah, our next game is the 30th. So that's giving Glasner a hell of a long time to. Little spoiler here, get fitness up. Because I think that both of us are going to talk about fitness when it comes to attacking and defending.
Yeah, absolutely.
A certain team can run for a full 100 minutes, and another team can only run for about 60.
Yeah, I think 60 is even being a little bit generous, perhaps, for some of our players.
Definitely, 100%.
I don't think anyone's going away on international duty either, because obviously Mark normally would, but he's injured. So I don't think. I think it's a bit too. I don't think Ebbs will be going either. I mean, it's a home game anyway, so.
I would have an outside shout for Mitchell again. I don't want him to go, but I think with all the injuries,
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I can't really think of any other English left backs who are. I think
Shaw's fit, but the others are injured, unless you play Colwell or someone like that at left back. But Southgate will probably pick him over Mitchell anyway, so don't pick him for England, because he'll come back rubbish again, so we don't want that. Quickly into the comments.
Big up Chairman.
Big up Chairman. Big up Monty.
Big up Monty.
Chairman says, Dan, where was you after the game? Did you enjoy the walk?
Well, I left, one, because I was a bit fuming, but also as well, I didn't know where you guys went, so I just left. And by the time I figured out what upstairs meant, I was already halfway down the road anyway. But we ended up.
Pagan.
we ended up. No, it got even worse. Well, not even worse. It was fine, but we got the bus to. We saw that queue and we were like, nah, well, I'm not getting in that queue for Seven Sisters train tube. So we got a bus down to Dalston, thinking we could get the overground down to West Croydon and change to go Wallington. And I didn't realise that the overground wasn't running to West Croydon, so we had to go to. No, I think we were like, nah. So we ended up walking to Old Street instead, and then getting the tube down to Morden.
Damn! So you did an extra walk.
Yeah, it weren't too bad. It was nice to. I find it nice to just walk around London in the evening, anyway. So
finally. Big up yourself, Pat. Says big up the GOAT and Dan. We tactically were good, but marking with 2 trash second half subs. When Walton and Ebbs came off, we were peak. I don't think it was when Ebbs came off. I think it was when Ayew and Wharton came off, though. Definitely, those 2 killed it completely.
Definitely. Did we ever find out why Ayew came off? Because I always thought he came off for a reason. Like I didn't think he.
So in the first half, he got a knock. He got a knock in his hip, and then at half time, Glasner said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "I got a knock in my hip. I can give you 10, 15 minutes, but that's it."
Okay.
So
Right.
Glasner hacked him off after 10 minutes. That's why.
Oh, I see. Is
But
do we know
fit.
if he's all right?
He's fit
He's all right.
game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
cool.
just a knock. It's not anything serious. So I use back this game, which is massive.
I think the problem is at the moment is that we're in that weird, annoying transition phase at the moment where they've got the fitness of Roy's team, but
The mentality of the Glasgow team.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, okay, would I have brought Hughes on? Probably not. I probably would have brought Ahamada on instead, just because he played well against Burnley. But then the thing is, it's like a double-edged sword. He either doesn't bring on any players and everyone's knackered, or he brings on players who, like Hughes, for example, probably isn't mobile enough for the system anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and slate Hughes. Like there's other players who perhaps didn't do as well. But then I think, like I say, it's a double-edged sword. No subs, bad. Bring on subs and they're wrong, bad. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I think also with Glasner, you have to remember it. He is a new manager, and he still needs to get used to how certain players perform in certain types of games. So he's probably thinking, Will Hughes, experience, he'll come and help us sort out this game. Now he's learned that you can't do that anymore. So I'm sure that Glasner's the kind of guy to think, that didn't work. I'm not going to do that again. Whereas Hodgson would be like, we'll try it again, see how it goes.
And ultimately as well, I think you could argue maybe like the way the situation panned out probably didn't help as well. So obviously we gave away the first goal pretty much out of nothing. Like all Anderson had to do was just kick out for a throw-in, basically, and then that whole situation would have been.
To be fair, both of Anderson's things, he could have hit it back to Johnstone because Johnstone made an angle for him, and then the third goal, he could have just hit it off the pitch.
Well,
he tried to do a fancy back kill or whatever.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think once that kind of happened, it ended up being like it was a situation where we weren't settled anymore. And I think perhaps had that not happened, Hughes probably would have been. I'm only using Hughes as an example, but perhaps because of the timing of the subs and because of the timing of the goal, it meant that no one was settled. And I think someone like Hughes probably does a lot better when his lack of mobility isn't an issue. So like if we are defending in a low block, it's fine. But if we're all over the place, then it's bad, if that makes any sense. But
yeah, definitely.
It is what it is.
Let's get into the predicted 11. So we're going to start this by rattling through some injuries. So injury updates. Here we go. We've got Chet Decore, who's still out. Rob Holding, who's been pushed back an extra 2 months, which is sick.
Ooh.
Mark Gay is out until May. Elise is hopefully back early April. Ayew is back for this game, and Jez has got no return date. So even though we haven't got that many injuries, if you add up their transfer value, it's probably about £180 million worth of players injured right now. So that's not good. However, we can say that we've lost 3 of our key players. However, if you look at Luton, you got Tom Lockyer, Marvelous Nakamba, Dan Potts, Gabriel Osho, and Stephen Johnson. And Joseph Johnson are back this game, which is big. But Adebayo, who's their main goal scorer and their main threat up front, Sambi Lakonga, who's probably their midfield maestro this season, probably their best midfielder in their team, even though he was rubbish for us, he's been incredible for them this season, and Amari Bell, who's been a standout performer at the back for them. So they're going to be missing a lot more key players than we are in this game. And I feel like that has to play into our hands. Because of those injuries, we have to get something from this game. I don't think there's any excuse now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think those are all the way that they play as well. All of those players are very crucial to that.
Definitely. So let's get into the team lineup. So here's what here's what I've gone with. We sort of play the same formation, kinda, but Luton play it as a bit more of a deep lying way of playing, whereas Glasner likes to have the wing backs a little bit further forwards, and the tens are a little bit wider, whereas Edwards does like to have his wide forwards inside to then run outside rather than already being a little bit wider. So for Crystal Palace, I've gone with Johnstone, Richards, Anderson, and Ward at the back, with Mitchell and Munoz being the wing backs, with Lerma and Wharton picking up that midfield. You've got Eze and Ayew as the 10s, and JP up top on his own. Dan, what are you saying? Same team?
Yeah, same team.
Cool. Moving over to Luton, you've got Kaminski in goal, who's probably been another one, which is a good shout for player of the season for Luton, because he's an incredible shot stopper. He really is. I think some of the saves he makes, I don't know how he does it. Really.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, I'm just looking now, but I'm fairly sure he's like really high. He ranks 9th. He's ninth best shot stopper in the league per 90 in terms of the stats.
Cool. We've got Doherty and Kabore as the wing backs, with Burke, Mengi, and Osho as the centre back trio. Which, to be fair, of all the injuries, missing Bell, missing Lockyer as well, that's still a very good back line. Barkley and Clark in the midfield, they're definitely missing Lakonga there, where Clark is. With Townsend, and we know what happens with ex-Palace players, are going to score a banger against us. And I think, has Townsend already scored his banger of the season? Townsend's always got a banger a season, doesn't he?
Well, I know he has scored this season, but I can't remember what it was like.
I've got Townsend and Chong as the 10s and Morris up top. I put Townsend there purely because I think he'll score, but I think if you're looking at it from what Edwards is going to do, I'd probably put Ogbene there instead. Dan, what are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe if Osho's not around, because it seems to be touch and go whether he is about, I thought that they might, if that is the case, maybe they'll put Ogbene where Amari Bell goes, because I know, well, we'll see later, but that left-sided centre-back likes to push up high. So, yeah, we'll see that a bit later. And maybe Corley Woodrow might make an appearance as well, perhaps. They do like to mix it up a little bit up top.
Mm-hmm. Let's go into the comments again. Pat was sitting with a Spurs fan, so he's being a pagan. Munoz was stereotypical for being a Colombian once goals flowed in with Maddison. He was defensively all over the place a little bit, but, that's his first bad game. So, and to be fair, no one really had a good game. We were tackled too frequently when we were only in pressure moments. Do you mean we were tackled? I think we did spend a little bit too much time on the ball sometimes. I mean, that's probably what he's trying to say there. Dan, do you want to go through how we can defend against them first, or should I go through how they attack first?
Yeah, so I could go first. I think you went first last week, innit?
All right, cool.
Right. Okay. So Luton in attack / Crystal Palace defense. So, what is the first thing to say? Well, in terms of their the way they tend to create chances is on the wing. So most of the way that they play is geared up to that. And just to talk about that in terms of stats, in terms of attempted passes, they rank second bottom in the league. But when you talk about crosses, which are included in the passes, they're actually top in the league. So they average about 22.5 crosses per 90, which obviously is a lot. And when you consider that they attempt 390, effectively what you're saying is at about what's that? About 5% of all their passes are crosses, which is mad when you think about it. And with that in mind, they also complete a fair amount as well. On average, they complete about 2 crosses a game. This doesn't, just because they complete 2 doesn't mean that the other 20 are pointless. That doesn't mean that. They, even if they don't complete the cross, they can still be dangerous. So with that in mind, so how do they actually build up an attack? So first things first, when the goalkeeper, let's say the goalkeeper's got the ball, Kaminsky's got the ball, they'll push their wing backs a little bit higher, and then they'll split their centre backs like that. So let's just put our defenders over here. Now, the good thing to defend about this, you might see already, is that we can actually go man to man quite easily because we've got very similar formations at this point. So let's say we've got that. So what they'll do is they'll use these players to try to create progression in the team. Now, one of the other things to really watch out for is Barkley, because Barkley, I don't really know how you would say this, but he's effectively like a deep line playmaker, but he's kind of been given like a free role. So sometimes he might even drop into here and to receive the ball and so on and so forth. I'll show you some pictures later. But effectively what they'll do is that they'll so let's say Mengi's got the ball, they'll look for a progressive pass or a vertical pass, if you will. Yeah, haven't heard that one for a while. So and it can be any part of the pitch. It doesn't necessarily have to be the wing. I think as long as they find a player that kind of breaks the lines of pressure, that's what they're really after. So it could be here. It could be that Bene's got the ball and they're looking here, or it could be perhaps Burke's got the ball and they're looking here, or whatever. That's what they'll try to do. And this is only really in this kind of initial phase. If for whatever reason, maybe all the lanes are blocked, I mean, that's usually unlikely because, and again, this is probably why Lokonga is probably a big miss for them. I don't know how good Clark is, but normally Lokonga will drop into that space or Barkley will drop into that space. So then they receive the ball and then turn and then give the ball elsewhere. But let's say that they do that. What they'll look then is that they'll try to get these wings overloaded. And this is what I was saying earlier about Amari Bell. Amari Bell, I believe he was actually a left back. So he was used to moving up and down this channel. He's effectively like an inverted fullback. Well, I guess inverted in the sense of like tends to underlap the wing back. But Amari Bell will go up and down this kind of channel all the time. And the purpose of this is to just try and create overloads in these spaces. And when they do that, obviously, if you've got, say, let's bring our players here. Let's just make a hypothetical situation here. You know, if you've got this situation, you effectively got a 4-on-3. So that's obviously against us in that favour. One thing I did notice though is that it tends to be more the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side. I think that's because Doherty is very, very good offensively, and he's got a really good cross, which I'll talk about in a bit. But that's generally what they'll try to do. And it's actually not dissimilar to what Glasner wants to do with our centre-backs, because his centre-back has moved. Because if you look at that situation before, you've got a 3-on-3. But now Bene's moved into that situation, or would normally be Amari Bell. Now you've got a 3. So let's say Munoz then has to engage. Doherty's then in space. Or let's say Wharton has to engage. Barkley's very good at finding that space and then turning.
Yeah, that happened to us a few times against Spurs as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and they're very clever as well. And I think another thing, which again, I'll show in some pictures, but they're very good. Let's say that, I don't know, or let's say it's the other side, for example, and Burke doesn't push. So you've got Morris Actually, this is a bad example because I don't think they would do it. Let's just stick back to this side. So let's say that, I don't know, Ogbene just passes the ball to Doherty. Well, they're very good. Let's say Barkley's more tucked in. So you do have is a 3-on-3. What they are very good at doing is rotating these players. So even though it is 3-on-3, they are very good at gaining the advantage in these situations. So let's say Ogbene passes to Doherty. As soon as Ogbene's made that pass, he's going to sprint. Or let's say it's even the other way around. Let's say Ogbene's moved inside to support Doherty, and Doherty's passed Ogbene the ball. Doherty's then going to, as soon as he makes that pass, he's going to run. And let's say even if it's Chong and Chong's moved inside, so now we've got, I don't know, maybe like a 2v2. Again, whoever's got the ball here, if they pass it to the other, so let's say Chong passes the ball to Doherty, Chong's going to make that space in behind, run in behind. And they're very good at doing that. And then obviously when they get into, say, this position over here, they're going to whip that ball in as quick as possible. And it plays into their hands as well because they have two players here in this particular case and this is why Adebayo being missing is a very good thing for us, is that they've got two players there who are very good in the air. And then if there's any, I don't know, let's say they've moved up, and then if there's any second balls, they're willing to commit other players to winning that second ball and then causing a problem. And that's basically what they want to do in a nutshell. Let me just double check I've said everything. Yeah. So effectively, they'll use wing rotations. They'll try to use the centre backs to overload that wing as well to try and get into this area. And sometimes even Doherty might not even necessarily cross. Sometimes maybe Chong, so say Munoz has been taken out of the game because of good passing and Ward has to commit. Chong will find himself in this space, and then Doherty may even pass the ball here, and then it's a nice cutback for whoever's here. That's what they'll do to try and get an advantage by overloading the wings. So I'll show you some pictures now, just to kind of show you what I mean in that sense. So if I go to window,
Big up Hazard.
why
Join
is,
us in the chat.
why is my paint not showing up on there?
Ooh.
Right, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go on the entire screen because then can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then you can see me doing this, can't you? Okay, so. Oh, wait, I haven't done the thing, have I? Oops.
Ooh.
Right.
What's
never
he
mind.
doing? What's he doing?
I haven't blurred out the advertising boards. Just realised.
Ooh.
What do you reckon?
I mean, we're not going to get our 25p, mate.
Should I just go for it?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
Let me turn off the monetization then. Let me just turn that off real quick.
Oh, look, it's up now. Why? Okay, right. Anyway.
All right, yeah. Oh, yeah, we're off.
Okay, cool. So, yeah. So, for example, so this is Amari. This is Amari Bell here, and you'll see what I mean. So you do like a little 1-2, and then Amari Bell moves into that. It moves into that space. So again, you can see why I am glad that he's probably not going to be playing. So, and as soon as they do that, I believe Amari Bell then passes it into this player here, who then turns, lays it off here. Amari Bell continues the run, and then Amari Bell then continues that run, and this player is going to play him in. Nothing actually comes of this situation, but you can see what I mean in terms of how they're trying to work out here. So overloading that space, passes to number 9, who I think's Carlton Morris. Pass it to Doherty, and then Doherty then plays that pass down the line. Like I said, it doesn't come off this time, but that is what they try to do. And then situations like this are very common. So you have 1 player here, 2 player here, 3 player here, 4 player here. You got 4 players occupying that space. And okay, yes, this time the defense has got a relatively okay advantage there, but that's that. So how do we then stop this? Well, there's a couple of things that I did think about. First things first, I think we need to nullify Ross Barkley, because he is incredibly press resistant and is very good at finding players, is technically very good. So ball comes to the goalkeeper. Now you can see here, this is Ross Barkley here. He's moved into that space. So like I said about earlier, you got their 3 centre-backs here and the other centre-backs over here. This down here is Doherty. They then play out. This is against Sheffield United. They then play out. Ross Barkley, literally, all he does is take 1 touch and basically goes around Gus Hamer. And then finds, I can't remember who that is, finds his player here. Yeah, finds a Conga, and then he's away, and then he's effectively taken 3 players out of the game already. So how do we do this? Perhaps I think when he receives the ball, I think we should have a player who is more on them. So let me
Would you
show
say
you.
they have to be touch tight, or do you think stay close enough that he can't spin you with 1 touch?
I think if we let me just go back to the tactics board. I think if we, so let's put that situation here. So let's say that's there. Doherty was like here, wasn't he? Barkley's moved in behind, blah, blah, blah. So let's say Barkley was here and then Wharton's then the player that's moving in. I think as soon as that pass is being made to him, I think Wharton or whoever needs to get touch tight to him, because I think whilst he is press resistant, he is obviously getting on, like he's got to be what? Which is a good question. How old is Ross Barkley? He's 30 years old. I mean, it's not. I'm not going to say like he's slow or anything, but as soon as that presence is there, it does make it a lot harder for him to spin. And I think when we got players like Lerma and like Wharton who are mobile players, I think we should be doing that. And I think if you, at worst case scenario, he can't get past. Worst case scenario for us, he'll just have to pass it back to Mengi, or maybe he does a good pass to the wide centre back or whatever. That's how I would nullify Barkley. Because if you don't, like we saw, he receives that here. It's a bit of a late challenge from the player, and then they're in this position already. Doherty can then move higher up the pitch. One of these players can drop, or whoever, and then effectively you've got your 3 players pinned, and you've got the wide players then making runs into that space. And Barkley, we know, can pick that pass to Doherty, or could pick that pass to Gabore, whoever is on the right-hand side. So that will be really key, I think, in stopping them. Now, the final question I had... Oh, no, don't do that. Oh, damn it. Sorry, it's just installing an update on Paint. So the second question... No, it's right. It won't take long. It's usually quite quick. So the other question I thought was, well, can we press them? So there's 2 ways to think about this. Is it worth pressing them? Because they are, don't forget, Kaminsky could quite easily just hit that ball long. And then, like I said, you got 2 players here who are very decent in the air. So do they need to for a start? No, is there any point doing it? I think so. But also, are we able to? And to be honest, I think we could, and I'll show you why now, because Paint has officially stopped it updating, so now I can show you. And for some reason, it's doing that thing again. Wait, what's it? So this was against Newcastle, who we know are a very good pressing side. So why does it always do this? So 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 5, 6. So what happened here? Luton have got the ball, and then eventually there's a bit of a heavy-ish pass to this player here, who then is chasing that ball there. Then passes back to Kaminsky. So you can see Gordon here. What Gordon's going to do is he's going to run here. So then that stops this progressive pass here. Because you think about it, if Gordon goes there, well, that's just an easy pass to there, and then he's out the game. So it's a bit pointless. So he ends up here, and he's signalling to another player here who ends up being Almiron to then run to this player here who gave the ball to Kaminsky. So Almiron's moving up, and then we're in this position where, you know, there's a player there, player there, player there. All he can really do is kick it long. And this is a position I think we could get ourselves into. He ends up being actually does a very good pass, and then there's a player in space here. But I think that was a problem with Newcastle's press rather than, you know, Luton being a very effective anti-press team, if that makes sense. So, I mean, you could think about it. I mean, I know Gordon's quite quick and he's way quicker than Mateta, but that could be Mateta doing this part. This player here could be Eze moving up to space here. And then this player could be Jordan Ayew. And then this player here, that could be Wharton marking that player. And the person, what happens is that there is actually a Newcastle player not far behind that that then joins, and that could be Lerma.
Yeah, and with Lerma's jumping ability, you could outjump anyone, really, if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the only reason maybe what Newcastle was thinking is that they didn't want a long ball over the top, and then they have 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 players out the game against a long ball against some two attacking players who are, like I said, very decent in the air. Maybe that's what they were trying to go for, and that could be a problem with that press. But, and again, like looking back at the players that they do have, you know, are they going to be able to necessarily pick out that pass? I don't know, but in a nutshell, what I would say is make sure we aren't overloaded on the wings. Make sure we got at least man to man. In terms of pressing, I think we can press them. I think if we do a man to man system, I think that'll be fine. And also we need to limit Barkley. So what I mean by that is try to have someone on him most of the time, or at the very least have someone on him as he's receiving a pass. So then at worst case, he can't turn and he'll just have to pass backwards. That's what I would say. And also with Lokonga not being by him, like Lokonga is very good at recycling the ball. And if he's not next to him, then I said, I don't know how good Clark is. I don't know if he's any good at that. So hopefully we can then just, we might not necessarily get a shot off from it or anything like that, but hopefully we can limit them and just force them to go long. And then I think our back three are actually very good in the air. Ward, Anderson, and Chris Richards, and Jefferson Lerma as well. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to deal with them aerially.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, when you said that Lokonga's good at recycling the ball, we saw that firsthand as well.
Yeah.
With a good old Sambila sideways is what I called him a few times.
Yeah, exactly. But then the beauty of them two in the middle for them is that he doesn't have to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's Barkley's job. Like he's more than happy to pass sideways to Barkley, and then Barkley's gonna be the one who finds that killer pass.
Yeah. My
only concern really for us is definitely that left hand side, because Doughty is a very good left wing back. We are. It's good for us that Amari Bell's not around.
Yeah, and I think when they attack, they're a very unselfish team.
Yeah,
they will very happily pass to someone in a better position. I've seen many times just watching Luton on the TV that Barkley's in the box in a good position, but he looks up and sees Adebayo to his right running in with no one in front of him, and he knocks it off to him, and he can just have a free shot.
Yeah.
So they're a very unselfish team, and even though Adebayo is a top scorer by a long way, they've still got a few other people that will chip in with goals pretty often for their team as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, and one thing I did actually forget to mention
pieces.
It's only a quick thing, but they do rank joint third for goals scored from corners this season. So yeah, watch out for that. But then they've got players who are good in the air, so it's not really unsurprising. So just watch out for that and try not to give away any needless corners.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, that's how we can defend against them.
To be fair, I think how we attack is going to be a lot shorter than that. And yeah, let me get into it. Let's go into the attack. So, it's been a pretty common theme in Tactical that whenever we talk about a certain way of playing, how do you beat that certain way of playing? You play that exact way back at them again.
Yeah.
Ironically, we both have the same formation with a very similar playing style. So, this game could go one of two ways. This game could just be a complete stalemate. Absolutely nothing happens, boring game. Or it could be extremely end-to-end. And I think it'll be the end-to-end until 60 minutes. So, as Dan has rightly said, that Luton have got many different ways of playing. For example, even though you said Bell is the one that normally moves forwards, he's normally plays on the left-sided centre-back. Osho is more than capable of doing something similar as well, because he used to be a fullback once upon a time in his career. And I think so did Mengi as well. I'm sure he played right back for QPR, I want to say.
Let's have a look.
I think he played right back for QPR a few times. Or am I thinking of another United youth player?
Well, he was at Derby and Birmingham City on loan.
Am I thinking of Layard? I think I am.
Oh, Laird. Yeah. Yeah, Ethan Laird.
But Osho is more than comfortable to move forwards with the ball. So they love to do this give and go, you know what, as Dan's already said. But how do we get the best out of this situation? So, as we've said, injuries are going to be big for them. So we know that Clark... Well, I don't actually know how good Clark is. He might actually be so much better than Nakonga. But we've seen a lot of hype around Nakonga, so I'm going to guess that he may be a little bit better than Clark. So no disrespect to him if any Luton fans are watching. But changing a successful midfield, let's say, in any team is never going to end well. And especially with this being, I think, the first game with Nakonga actually being injured as well, it's going to take a little bit of adjusting to, I would say, for their team, for everyone to get into their roles again. So, for example, it's a well-oiled machine at the moment. The ball is back at the goalkeeper, as Dan said. Doherty moves up, Osho slides over, Mengi slides over, and it's sort of like this. So you've got a lot of space where people are picking up their man. Barkley will drop into the middle here for free space so he can receive the ball. That's all well and good. But when Barkley makes that move, Nakonga makes a step forwards to take the attention of these players away from their wingers that they're currently tracking to, press here, and then that will give Barkley an even better pass through. However, with him not actually having as much game time, he may stay still in his position. And, it's not the end of the world. However, it does create an issue for Barkley when he receives the ball and Lerma presses forwards. Because I know that Townsend's standing behind here obviously. But it's a lot harder to dink a ball over the top than to fire it into someone's feet. And that's exactly what Barkley likes to do. So he will pick the ball up, turn around and see that both these passes along the floor are off. Chong is being marked by Wharton, so he's probably going to go back to the goalkeeper again because of this. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Barkley's good enough to lift it over the top. But by the time that the lift over the top will be slow, so Mitchell might actually be able to get over there and intercept that. So the slight inexperience and the lack of play time in this formation may actually be an issue for Clark here. And if Clark gets caught on the ball, maybe, because Lerma's done that a few times, hasn't he? I think at the end of the game, Højbjerg was caught by Lerma. Brownhill had to take out Lerma for a red card at the end of the game. So Lerma's a very active person when it comes to pressing. Even though he's a defensive midfielder, a number 8, he's still very active when going forwards and pressing. I feel like that man's built on a Duracell battery. He just don't stop running. But the importance of pressing them intelligently is what I would say, because Dan's alluded to it. They're more than capable of doing a 1-2 and then someone else makes a run and they just lift it over the top and then they're in behind. Because whether you like it or not, pace hurts teams. Whether the player's good or not, pace will hurt them. We've seen that historically with Adama Traore. Not a very talented footballer. He's just built like an NFL player, but he causes much problems that his pace alone causes such a big problem that you need to double up on him, even though he can't hit a barn door. And they have that. Morris is deceptively quick. Chong is very quick. Doherty is very quick. Townsend's not quick anymore, but Ogbene is really fast. So that 1-2 over the top, it's a long day. Also, Kabore is very fast, if I do remember off the top of my head as well. So that is interesting. But when I say press them intelligently, Barkley, I wouldn't say don't press him whatsoever, but I wouldn't say overcommit so that he can find a pass through you, let's say. So what I would say is press them when Barkley's not around. It sounds stupid, but there is method to this madness. And I'll tell you why. From history, I know Townsend, unless he's crossing with his left foot and he's cutting him inside, he can't really pass or use his right foot very well. Don't know about Clark. Don't really know much about Chong. But Doughty, extremely left-footed. Kabore, extremely right-footed. Barkley himself, extremely right-footed. So if we can defend, push them out to their weaker sides, their pass is not going to be as on point. So how do we win? Be more aggressive. And that's going to be hard purely because of our fitness. Glasner said himself, our fitness sucks. It really does. He says, what did he say? I think he said...
He said all our players are fat and they need to stop going McDonald's.
No, he didn't. He did not. He said Morley's, not Mackey's.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Do you think Glasner's had a Morley's yet?
He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would want to get his hands well greasy.
Nah, he's Glasner the kind of guy to eat Morley's chicken wings with a knife and fork.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But I would say that this game, it needs subs at 70 minutes max. And I would say all 5 subs need to be used in this game just to keep the intensity up. Because if they press like they do, we need to press like that as well to make up for it. So, being a lot more advanced. So, if they've got the ball, I do think we have to go man for man here. So, Richards will need to push up. He'll need to push up. This will sort of be how we go. Granted, there is space out wide for a great kick, but I think that we need to try and stay as compact as possible so that if someone receives the ball, so let's go back into that situation again, where Barkley's here and he receives the ball, we need to have a press which is stuck on him fast. So we need to have 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to have a few players there at once to try and press that ball. Granted, I know as well as you do that Barkley's more than capable of taking that one touch, lifting it over, and then Kabore can start running. However, if there is a time where you get here and you catch them off guard, and let's say Mateta grabs the ball here, you're running through, you could square it to Eze, or Mateta could shoot himself. Winning the ball up high and shooting quickly is going to be the name of the game. We've seen it with the goals that I believe Watkins scored against them on the weekend. Very quick. So I think one was a very fast taken free kick from Douglas Luiz, which caught them off guard. The other one, I think Leon Bailey stole it off their fullback and just passed it straight to Watkins, and he was through on goal and scored again. Was it? No, I think Watkins scored the corner, didn't he? I can't remember, but I know that they're very vulnerable if you press them up high. Granted, they're good at passing, but most of that team is not press proven. Only Barkley is. So pushing up, being aggressive, showing a good tempo all game is going to be very key here. And I think to keep that high press going, we're going to need to make all 5 subs. So if Eze starts to fall off, I hope he's a lot fitter than he was against Spurs. He didn't look fit at all to me against Spurs all game. The only good thing he did was he ran, got a yellow card, and scored a goal. That's genuinely the only good thing he done all game. So if he starts to tire, put França on. If Wharton starts to tire, put a Hamada on. Innit? If Lerma starts to tire, put Ozo on. Don't play Hughes again. We need to keep the energy up. And I think that, in my opinion, that's probably the best way to do it. I think the quality of our players is more than good enough to beat them. I'm sure that Glasner himself knows that we've got quality to beat them. Players like Ayew, Wharton, they'll be very integral to tracking runners, for example. I think just being calm and composed on the ball, and I don't think that keeping the ball will be like the be all and end all, because I don't think they have very much possession in every game they play. I think that whenever they win, they win with like 20 or 30% possession, because when they get the ball, they do something with it. They don't just hold the ball and just have possession for the sake of having possession. So I would say play it a little bit like playing against Everton. You win the ball up high and you try and shoot on sight. You make the keeper work. Keeper's great, but no keeper can save all 20 shots. Just get it all on target, put them in good places, because even though the keeper's great, like, for example, the equaliser that Harvey Barnes scored, it wasn't a great goal. It was a bit of a P-roller from outside the box, and he just completely misread it. So he does make mistakes, but because it's Palace, he's going to have a blinder. So I would say shoot on sight, be brave, and keep the energy up. And that's a tall order to say when we've got no fitness.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's that double-edged sword again of like, you need to make subs to keep the team fresh, but then who have you got to bring on?
Yeah, and it's like what we said at the start, whatever works against you will work against them. So I can see this being an extremely counter-attacking game. I can see their fullbacks flooding up, and then we nick the ball. Wharton does a great through ball, and then you see Eze, Mateta, and Ayew 3-on-3 against them. And then if they lose the ball, then we're Ward, Anderson, and Richards 3-on-3 against those guys. So I can see this going like that. I really can. So it's going to be a good game to watch regardless, but the result, I can't predict it. I really can't. But I did throw you under the bus last week, so I've got to sit here and predict it for myself today. What am I going to predict, though?
Oh, I've already got one in my head.
The thing is, my head says, think about it logically, my head says 2-2. But I feel like this is such a huge game for both teams that someone is going to come out on top. And I feel like with all the injuries they've got, with the changes to their starting 11, and to be fair, we are a long way into the season. So maybe their fitness levels are going to drop a little bit, maybe. They've been playing such big teams. They've been raising their bar. Maybe they have a little bit of a Palace moment where they play someone around their level and they just drop the bar completely. Because we have seen it before. I think they went a goal down against Sheffield United, didn't they?
They lost 3-1 at home.
Yeah. So they are beatable. This is Luton, and that's not saying it in any disrespectful way to them, but I think the quality of our players is superior. We've got less key players out as well. I'm going 3-1 Palace.
I'm going 4-2 Palace because I think it'll be a bit of a goal fest. I agree. I think it'll be a very transitional game. I think we'll get caught out, but I think they'll get caught out even more, especially with the players they've got that are missing.
There's going to be no clean sheet whatsoever in this game. No way.
No, and this game's not ending 0-0. Put it that way.
If this game finishes 0-0, me and Dan will sing "Glad All Over" at the start of the player ratings.
I mean, like I watched back their game against Sheffield United, and I was expecting that to be rubbish, but it wasn't. It was like proper. Like it was really intense, really transitional. I mean, Luton didn't make very many chances at that first half. I don't think they made any chances really, but it was a very counter-attacking type of game, and I expect it to be the same on Saturday.
Definitely. Let's go into the comments before we round out. Evening Hazard, I'm going to sell us on Saturday in my first game this year.
Woo!
If you got time, come round and meet us. You do a fan cam.
Yeah, we're by the fan zone.
100%. This game ain't going to be a pretty game. It might not be pretty, but it's going to be a hell of a watch.
Yeah. And it's such an important game because obviously, like JC was saying, we're on 28 points, 14th. They're on 20 points in 18th. I mean, they do have that game in hand, obviously, with Bournemouth. So very, very important.
SCCPFC says, do you think it'll be worth going to Bournemouth away? Got nothing better to do. I'm hopefully going. I think it's on a Tuesday. I'm hopefully going. I've only been to Bournemouth once before. Great little stadium. They do play the drums through their speakers though, which is a little bit annoying. And they have clappers, so it's double crap. But you know, but Iraola's got them playing really well, so you know it'll be a good game of football again. But I think I'm going to try and go. So if you can go, I recommend it because Bournemouth's a very hard ground to get to, just purely because of the capacity, and you don't get to bring many fans there. Chairman says Morley's on the Saturday was top quality. The Morley's banged. I can't lie to you.
Which one was it from?
The one in my house.
Right, yeah.
Remember, guys, this is a eagle-eyed football top tip here. Yeah, don't get high street Morley's because it stinks.
True.
Get backstreet Morley's.
Backstreet Morley's.
But it can't be a Metros and it can't be a Moorlands. What's the other ones? It can't be a Metros.
You said that twice.
I think I just hate the Metros, bro. The Metros. Yeah, I know they have Morleys, Moorlands, Metros, and they got another one, but I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know. My local one's Chicken World, so
yeah, fair enough. Finally, RZ Productions said fitness does need to be improved 100%. That's been our main issue ever since Glasnow's come in.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's been our issue under Roy. It's been our issue under Vieira. Because even with Vieira, how many late goals did we concede then as well?
Loads.
Purely for fitness.
Well, weirdly, right? I was looking into it with Vieira, and we didn't actually. It was weird because we didn't actually concede that many goals beyond the 76th minute. It's just they just happened to be really important goals, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you remember them more.
Yeah, exactly. So like in reality, like I don't know how many we conceded that late, but every single one of them dropped us points. Pretty much.
I remember off the top of my head the Brighton one. That one hurt.
Brentford twice.
We was beating Brentford,
Chelsea.
weren't we? Chelsea.
Can't remember, but yeah. Oh, Arsenal away. Yeah, quite a few. But this season, right?
Arsenal at home as well.
This season is depressing. So
19 goals.
Well, bearing in mind, 76 to 90, according to this website, is 20. Oh, so wow. we are the worst in the league. Like not even Sheffield United are worse than that. And when you consider that we've actually only conceded, well, I say only, we've conceded 47 goals. We've basically conceded about more than 40% of our goals in that last 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I
would be. I know it'll be really hard to get a hold of, but I would love to know the stat of how many goals that we've conceded, like after the first 5, and then so after the first 5 of both half and the last 10 of both halves. Like what amount of goals have we actually conceded, like within like 5 to 35 minutes, for example, and then 50 to 75? Like how many times in like the middle of the game have we actually conceded? I don't think it's that much.
No, it's not huge amounts. All right, here's one that's even sadder, right? So the same website breaks it down to every 10 minutes. So this is from 81 minutes onwards. We've conceded 17 goals.
Ooh.
Now, the second worst team is Sheffield United, and they've conceded 13. So we've conceded 4 more. And we've conceded 4 more in those minutes than, yeah.
Out of curiosity, does it say how many goals you've conceded past 90?
Not past 90, no. No, I can't get past 90, but...
All right, I guess that's one to put in the group chat later then.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll have to look into that one.
Is there anything else that we need to talk about before this game?
No, just up the Palace.
Yeah. Guys, thank you very much for watching. This is the Crystal Palace vs Luton Town TACT Eagle. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. Click that notification bell so you get a notification 30 minutes before every stream and every video comes out. I think previews tomorrow. I think Glasner press is Friday and then games on Saturday, so you get some fan cams that day as well. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. And as always, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.
Eagles. Eagles.